What is going on, Swoopers? Welcome back to another episode of Swoop Luke. We're going to be previewing and talking about this huge elimination final against the West Coast Eagles up in Perth. So let's run that intro, jump straight into it. So just before we do jump straight into it, as always, follow me on all my socials, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Twitch, all Swoop Luke. Been pretty slack on, well, you know, I talk about Twitch all the time, but been pretty slack. But, the new Crash Bandicoot game has come out, so I will be streaming that hopefully by Sunday. Anyway, let's just jump straight into this preview. So, going into this game is a little bit different than going into any sort of normal game, pretty much because of that bye and now, you know, with quarantine and stuff like that. Going in, the last 5 games, the Eagles sit 3-2. Narrow win against the Kangaroos, narrow win against St Kilda, a loss to the Doggies, another few goal win against Essendon, and then they got done by Richmond. Look, the last few weeks, the Eagles have been a little bit up and a little bit down, but we know that they play very well in Perth, especially, you know, after a bye week, they get all their players back and stuff like that. But we will talk about that a little bit later. So their form going in has been better than ours, let's just put it that way. Our form, though, you know, in saying that, we've won 3 of our last 5 games. Obviously, we lost the last game against Port Adelaide, and then we beat Gold Coast to lock our spot into the top 8, but then lost to Brisbane. Then a good win against Carlton, a very good win against Carlton and the Kangaroos. So you can see that we have been a little bit up and down as well. That Brisbane game is a bit of an outlier because Brisbane really did F-all for most of the game, except for that second quarter where they kicked 5 goals and we had our chances, just didn't take them in that last quarter. Port Adelaide game, same thing as that. We only lost to the ladder leaders by 3 goals, and by all accounts, we should have got smashed, but we just can't put the scores on the board. But again, our form has been a little bit up and down, as it has been all season. But going into this game, I think we have a newfound burst of energy, and I'll explain why a little bit later. The one thing I like about finals when I'm doing these previews is that we don't have to look very far back to when we have versed the team last. So you remember, and it should be etched into your memories, the arse whooping that West Coast gave us only a couple of months ago, back in July. We were undermanned, undersized. We had their measure for pretty much all the first quarter. We were smashing them in every facet of the game. But then they kicked 5 unanswered goals. I think 5 or 6 unanswered goals in the second quarter, another 5 or so in the third quarter, and then that was the ball game. We had no answers for them. But looking at that game, that was the game where Buckley and everyone came out and said, it's an outlier, it's an outlier, it's an outlier. West Coast kicked 18-3. I haven't seen a team more accurate against us in so long. And we ended up with 6 goals, 9. So even if we had kicked as straight as a nail, we still wouldn't have won. But Josh goddamn Kennedy, 7 goals straight. Kicking him from absolutely anywhere. Oscar Allen kicked 3 goals as well, but that Josh Kennedy, 7 goals. He kicked 5 on Jordan Roughhead. The only time Roughhead has conceded that many multiple goals all season. Absolutely crazy. Looking back at it, it was definitely an outlier. That's not how we played. That first quarter was how we played, and we showed him up. Then anything after that is not how we played. I rewatched the game the other day, and what I really noticed is that, as much as I hate to say it, West Coast play a lot like Liverpool. If you watch the EPL or you just watch a couple of Liverpool games or whatever, the highlights, what they do best is that they absorb the pressure, absorb the attacking pressure, and then they get you on the counter, and they're quick, and they're over the top, and they're breaking away. That's something that we really, really, really have to work on, and something that I noticed from that last game. So the key area and the key matchups is it speaks for itself when we go up against West Coast. If I say give me West Coast's 3 most dangerous players, you're going to give me Nick Nat, McGovern, and now Josh Kennedy, and that's exactly right. They're the 3 matchups that we have to get right. We know Brody Grundy and Darcy Cameron are going to tag team Nick Nat, but we also know that Nick Nat is one of the most phenomenal ruckmen, especially this season. You know, he outshone Grundy, when we played them earlier in the season, just tapping it, and just his taps were absolute perfection. Absolute perfection. And we know Grundy hasn't had a good season at all, not being selected in the 40-man squad for the All-Australian, and Nick Nat placing in that All-Australian, the final All-Australian team. It is going to come a lot down to clearances, where we haven't been tidy these last few weeks. And, not even hitouts, because Grundy will probably win the hitouts. It's just hitouts to advantage that we have to worry about. Maybe we have to do what other teams do when they verse us, and we have to shark Nick Nat's ball. We know Nick Nat is going to smash it. We know he's going to go long. Barely does he ever just tap it down like Grundy does. And the thing with Grundy is that if those little taps aren't winning the ball, like that tap against Charlie Dixon, it was just a little tap and then Dixon goes and kicks a goal. Smash it as long as you can, as long as it's in our favour, and obviously not towards their goals. As long as it's in our favour and you're getting 10, 15 metres, 5, 10 metres even, it's 5, 10 metres more than what you would have if Nick Nat gets first possession and he taps it 10 metres towards their goal. So those are the little things that we have to work on. Another thing, Josh Kennedy. Who's going to go on Josh Kennedy? You think Roughhead. Roughhead has had another understated season, only dropping his colours against Josh Kennedy when he let him kick 5 goals on him. I think we are a better team now, and Jordan Roughhead is a better player now than he was back then. He looked a little bit too slow, and you'll remember that for the next game against Fremantle, he was dropped, omitted, rested, whatever you want to call it, and Mark Keane took his place. So I do think that Jordan Roughhead is going to do a lot of his homework, and he will have the measure of Josh Kennedy. We can't let him kick another 7 goals. We can't let him kick another 4 goals, 3 goals, 2 goals. I think Josh Kennedy is coming back. Not coming back. He did his ankle last week. He might be a little bit proppy, maybe a little bit proppy, so we'll see. But I think Jordan Roughhead will have his measure. The last key matchup, McGovern. And I just sound like a broken record. Everyone sounds like a broken record when they talk about McGovern. Best intercept marker in the game. Jeremy Howe was our best intercept marker. Don't have him anymore, but they kind of play the same role. You remember last year when we won by a point, Chris Mayne played on Jeremy McGovern. And the thing is with McGovern is that if you let him roam free, like we did in the 2018 Grand Final, of course he is going to tear you up. But if he has to play one-on-one, he's not going to have a lot of influence. Exactly like Jeremy Howe. If Jeremy Howe has to be a one-on-one defender, he's not very good. As an intercept defender, amazing. As a playmaker, amazing. As a one-on-one defender, not very good. So if you can make Jeremy McGovern accountable, that's exactly what we need to do. And the guys know that. They brought in Chris Mayne. Maybe he plays that role again as well. Maybe Mychek plays a more lockdown role. I don't care if Mychek gets one touch. If he locks down McGovern, that's a job well done for him. And that's something that we need to get right this time. We can't let McGovern patrolling those skies. All right. A key area, though. I've said it. How many times have I said it? Every single time this year, mid-forward connection. I'm not going to go on about it because you can just watch any of my other videos. But if our mids hit our targets going forward, we win the game. As simple as that. Another key area, like I alluded to before, is that West Coast do a lot of counter-attacking and they're quick on the counter-attack. Well, like I said, I was watching the game. What West Coast do is they switch plays between the fat side of the ground, the skinny side of the ground, really quickly. And what happens is our zoning tactics doesn't allow us to man up on those free players. And when we do man up on those free players, they've always got another person free down the line because they're dragging a Collingwood player towards them. So what we have to do is I'd rather play man-on-man, but we know that's not how football plays at the moment. It's all the zoning and zones and zone pressure and stuff like that. We can't let them have that run off half-back and through the centre corridor. We've got to block the centre corridor, block their run. They do like running down the wings as well, so we've got to block that. We can't let them absorb our pressure and counter-attack. It comes down to turnovers as well. You turn it over in the back line when all our players are forward, they're going to hit you on that counter, and it's going to be good. And they've got the tall timbers down forward who are going to kick goals. So we have to stop their counter-attacking. So, ins and outs. We'll start with West Coast one. We'll smash through them, then we'll go to the Pies ones. So, in, Jamie Cripps, Jeremy McGovern, Jack Redden, Luke Shuey. Outs, Luke Foley, Josh Rotham, Will Schofield, Bailey J. Williams. what I like about these ins is, okay, they're good players, we know that. But Jamie Cripps hasn't played for 5 weeks. Jeremy McGovern hasn't played for a few weeks. And leading up to that hammy, he had niggles, bang, hammy. Going to be underdone. Jack Redden, same thing. Hasn't played for about a month or so. Luke Shuey hasn't played for about a month or a few weeks. Shuey did a double hamstring, and now they're pushing him back. Think back to when Treloar did a double hamstring in 2018. That was I think it was an 11-week injury or something like that. He came back for the first final against West Coast, and I remember it so vividly because he was afraid to kick the ball to his full extent. He would just chip the ball, and his kicking was a little bit off. Shuey's is such an important player to them. I think they're bringing in a lot of underdone guys, but of course you would. It's an elimination final for them as well as an elimination final for us. Ins, and Collingwood ins now. In, Darcy Cameron, Chris Mayne out, Tyler Brown and Travis Varco both omitted. This is a bit of a weird one for me. We're playing tall, and I don't really like when we play too tall. Varco didn't do a lot last week, but his pressure at the ball was still good. I get it, it was still good. For them to give Steve-O another game as well says a lot about the trust that they have in him to just flick a switch and turn it on. But mark my words, if he stuffs up just in the first quarter, fumbles a ball, fumbles a mark, or gets done holding the ball or whatever, he'll drop his head and he won't get over 5 touches for that game. That's just how I feel. It's really in between here for him. And I don't understand why we didn't bring in another player of that sort of ilk, like not Sire, like maybe Sire's just not ready to go, but you could see that we don't have anyone in that sort of forward X-Factor vicinity that could replace Steve-O at the moment, and I guess that's why they kept him in. He does have a good track record. He just has to get the first touch of the ball has to be clean, and it has to be precise, and it has to be good for him to start getting his confidence back. Again, but like Chris Mayne, love him, yes, every single day of the week, yes. Just that Darcy Cameron one's a little bit weird. Double team Nick Nat is what they're thinking. So you'd think that Cox stays deep forward and doesn't leave. I don't want to see, if they're bringing in Darcy Cameron, I don't want to see Cox rucking at all. There's no need for it if you're bringing in Darcy Cameron. But anyway, they're my thoughts on the ins and outs. Prediction and big call. I think we're going to win. I've been saying it all week. I feel I feel less nervous for this game than I did for the Port Adelaide game. It's do or die. Absolute do or die for us and for them. So everything's going to get thrown at it. But I think whoever wins this is going to go a long way into winning the grand final. I know we're 8th and I know they're 5th, but I feel like we might be a team that wins it from 8. But my big call is that we're going to win, and it's going to be that we're going to win by 27 points, I feel like we love the backs against the wall mentality, and I feel like we're just going to win. I don't know what else we're just going to win. Another couple of big calls. Jordan Ruffhead's going to keep Josh Kennedy to 0 goals, and DeGoey is going to kick 4 goals. So, hopefully this isn't my last preview video. It is going to be an insane game Sunday night. It's going to be late, like 10 past 8 or something. I said I was confident, but I'm still nervous. But as always, you'll find me on Instagram lives and stuff like that throughout the game. But it's going to be a crazy one. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and until next time, double shackers. I'll swoop you later.
Ooh la la.